When the billionaire returns from vacation, he discovers his daughter pleading with the black cleaning lady next door for food. She vows eternal vengeance after learning what she does. When Victoria Hay heard it, her armored SUV was still coming into her Beverly Hills mansion's garage. From the backyard, a faint, hardly inaudible cry could be heard. Victoria, the 34-year-old CEO of Hayes Technologies and one of the wealthiest women in America, had a strong sense of what was wrong. She hurried out of the car before the driver had even shut off the engine because of that sound. She stopped suddenly, unable to comprehend the scene in front of her. "Please, Mrs. Rosa, just a little piece of bread. I promise I won't tell Diana you gave it to me." The neighbor's cleaning lady, a black woman in her 60s, was holding a lunchbox with tears running down her face. Emma, his 5-year-old daughter, was kneeling on the filthy ground next to the fence, her slender little hand reaching out through the bars. "I swear, girl, this cannot continue. That woman who looks after you, where is she?" Emma had changed. Victoria had left for the technology conference in Tokyo a week ago, leaving behind the plump, glowing youngster. It had the appearance of a skeletal ghost. On his slender, tiny frame, the designer clothing draped carelessly. His eyes were too large for his cadaverous face, and his cheekbones were sunken. Worst of all, though, were his ribs sticking out from beneath his flimsy blouse. "Emma." Victoria's voice sounded like a choked whisper. Incredulous at what she was hearing, the girl turned slowly. Something shattered inside her mother when his eyes locked with hers. Emma attempted to run, but on the second step, her slender legs failed her, and she fell to the garden floor. In a matter of seconds, Victoria arrived and lifted her daughter into her arms. Emma was not as heavy as sticks with pale skin made up his small arms. Every bone is clearly apparent. Another surprise was the fragrance. Days, perhaps weeks, had passed since the girl's clothes were last changed. Was Mummy's return true? Victoria could hardly hear Emma's voice as she murmured. Victoria's eyes were burning with tears as she caressed his daughter's matted hair. "Or am I dreaming again? I dream so much that you come back, but then I wake up alone in that dark, cold room. My God, what happened to you?" Victoria asked. "Diana, where are you? Why do you act this way?" Emma started to sob quietly as Diana remarked, "You left forever because I'm too annoying." Mrs. Rosa walked up to the fence, his face twisted in agony, and said, "No one can stand a girl who cries for her mummy all the time. That you told me to learn to fend for myself, Mrs. Hayes? I should have called you earlier, but Diana said you didn't want to be bothered with childish nonsense." She sobbed. "I've been seeing little Emma on the street for 4 days begging for food from the neighbors. At first, he thought it was a joke, but today she fainted on his sidewalk." Victoria felt the world spinning around her. How could she, a CEO who managed $1 billion company and negotiated with the world's biggest investors, have been so blind in her own home? 6 months ago, after the sudden death of his husband Marcus in a car accident, Victoria had thrown herself into her work as a way to escape the devastating pain. The pain of losing the love of her life at 33 was unbearable. Every corner of the mansion screamed Marcus's name, the office where he worked, the kitchen where they had family breakfast on Sundays, the room where Emma was born. Victoria fled the house as if fleeing ghosts, and Emma, traumatized by her father's death, was left in the hands of Diana Montenegro. Diana had arrived with impeccable credentials. She had a degree in education, glowing references from other wealthy families, and even a certificate in child psychology specializing in grief. She charged $8,000 a month, but promised total dedication. "I know exactly how to deal with traumatized children, Mrs. Hayes," she had said during the interview. "I lost my father when I was Emma's age. As though she were his own daughter, I will look after her." How stupid Victoria had been. Victoria realized with horror that she had disregarded the warning signs while cradling Emma's skeletal little body. Emma has consistently appeared drowsy and aloof during recent video calls. Diana said that the girl was simply exhausted from the day's events when Victoria inquired Emma's loose-fitting attire during the calls. With a comforting grin, Diana would explain, "She's going through a growth spurt. because it was too painful to confront the reality that she was leaving her daughter at his most vulnerable time. Victoria had believed every lie because she wanted to believe. Victoria tried to contain the tremor in her voice as she asked, "Emma, my love, when was the last time you ate anything real?" As if it were hard to recall, the girl pondered for a long time. "Diana may have left a slice of stale bread in my room yesterday morning." She hesitated as horror filled his small eyes. "Mummy, don't tell her that he ate it." She said that since big kids are repulsive and unpopular, he should learn to go without eating. Victoria was so furious that she started to shake. Then Emma spoke something in a whisper that chilled his blood. "Mum, Diana constantly snaps photos of our house and speaks in an odd language on a different phone. Additionally, odd men can occasionally show up when you're not around. The beautiful things are taken away." It was then that Victoria Hayes decided Diana Montenegro had made a mistake by attacking the wrong person. Victoria was more than a helpless widow. She was among the nation's most influential and powerful women. Her life would be utterly destroyed because all of her contacts, money and influence would suddenly be focused on a single objective. She had to save her daughter first, though. "Mrs. Rosa," Victoria stated in a firm, controlled voice, "I appreciate you looking after my MAU. Would you be able to call for an ambulance? Additionally, don't tell anyone, especially Diana, that I returned earlier than anticipated." The cleaning woman nodded right away, realizing that something grave was taking place. Victoria cradled Emma in her arms and kissed her daughter's icy forehead repeatedly as they waited for the paramedics. "My darling mummy is here now, and I swear that you won't ever be harmed by this awful woman again. Never again." Victoria was unaware at the time that Diana Montenegro was more than just a careless nanny. Over the previous 10 years, she had ruined the lives of numerous defenseless families as a professional criminal. A predator who focused on finding rich widows with small children, breaking into their homes, taking whatever she could, and then vanishing before anybody could find her. However, Diana had committed a deadly error this time. She had misjudged Victoria Hayes's personality. And before long, the entire world will be aware of Diana Montenegro's true nature as a monster, because putting that woman in jail wouldn't be the best form of retaliation. It would mean making sure she could never hurt another child again by openly revealing every crime, lie, and family she had destroyed. If you was moved by this tale of justice and treachery, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to learn how a straightforward, terrible finding would become the subject of an unrelenting investigation that would shock the entire nation. Because messing with the wrong person, especially when that person has limitless resources and nothing left to lose but the daughter he nearly lost, can sometimes be the worst mistake a criminal can make. Doctors at the hospital validated what Victoria instinctively understood. Emma exhibited signs of sedatives in her blood, was very underweight, and was severely dehydrated. In just 6 months, the little girl had shed 18 pounds, or over 40% of her optimal weight. Dr. Peterson, the chief pediatrician, Mrs. Hayes, talked in a voice full of professional concern and, more subtly, outrage. "Emma will be accepted right away. This is a criminally high level of neglect. I'll have to give Child Protective Services a call." Victoria nodded while continuing to grasp Emma's icy hand, who was finally sleeping soundly after being hooked up to 4 fluids for months. "Doctor, take whatever action is required. I must first understand every detail though." The doctor grimaced as he showed her the test results. Benzodiazepines were discovered in his system. They are utterly unsuitable for kids and are strong sedatives. The dosage indicates consistent use rather than a single dose. Bile rose in Victoria's throat. Diana was methodically giving her daughter drugs, similar to an animal that must be subdued. Dr. Peterson went on, obviously uneasy. "There's more." He stopped when he mentioned Emma's numerous vitamin deficiencies and indications of long-term sleep deprivation, signs that imply she spent a lot of time confined to limited areas. Victoria's cell phone vibrated at that very time. Diana had left a message. "I heard you returned early, Ms. Hayes. Despite Emma's spectacular outburst today, everything is under control. Don't worry. When kids believe their parents are ignoring them, they always make things up to seek attention. We'll discuss his raise tomorrow. It takes a lot of extra effort to cope with a troublesome child, after all. That message was stunning in its daring. Diana genuinely thought she was in total control of the circumstance, that she could control Victoria indefinitely because she was simply another wealthy, emotionally damaged widow. What a deadly error. Victoria calmly and calculatingly answered. Naturally, Diana, we'll speak face to face tomorrow. Regarding how you looked for Emma, I have a lot of questions. It was answered in a matter of seconds. I'm happy that my efforts have finally been acknowledged. I've been able to tame Emma, despite her extreme challenges. Help her, I'll see you tomorrow. Control her. The words sounded like a gunshot in Victoria's head. Diana had just admitted in writing that she viewed Emma as a beast that needed domestication. Victoria hired a private nurse right away to take care of Emma after leaving her. She went back home and made sure no one else touched her daughter without her express consent. She called his corporate security director, Daniel Chen, while the armored SUV sped through Beverly Hills. I need my house thoroughly swept, Daniel. All available technology, including cell phone trackers, security cameras, and microphones, was used to record every square inch of the property. Over the course of the previous 24 hours, has something happened. Hayes. Let's pretend I've found out that I have a snake under his roof. Additionally, that snake will discover that it has chosen the incorrect victim. When she got home at 2 in the morning, in the corridor, Victoria came upon something that caused her to pause. It was ajar for the door to the master bedroom, the haven she and Marcus had enjoyed. Since her husband's passing, she had not been in that room. It was too terrible, too holy. Slowly, she pushed the door open. Diana was inside, laying on the king-size bed, dressed in a $15,000 Valentino evening gown that Victoria had given her. She was using the jewelry Mariana had left for Emma, which was strewn all over the bed like cheap props from a photo shoot, to pose for Instagram selfies. A bottle of Chateau Margaux wine from 1996 was placed next to the bed. A bottle worth over $10,000 that Marcus saved for special occasions was half empty. With red lipstick smearing the glass, Victoria took out her cell phone and silently took one picture after another. Diana didn't even notice her supervisor, since she was so focused on her narcissistic performance. Victoria felt something break inside her when she saw the captions Diana posted, which read, "Live the life you deserve. When you're good at what you do, the rewards come naturally. #luxury life, #successful woman, #Beverly Hills lifestyle." Followers asked, "Do you live in this mansion?" Diana responded, "Yes, it's his home. He worked hard to achieve all this. Not suffering, but unmistakable resolve." Emma wasn't just being abused and neglected by Diana. Using the identity, the home, and the life that Victoria and Marcus had created together, she was leading a false existence. Victoria went back to the hallway in silence and sent the pictures and a brief note to his personal attorney. "Prepare everything. Tomorrow is when we begin." She then proceeded to Emma's room, which was actually meant to be her daughter's sleeping quarters, but Diana had transformed into something that made Victoria feel quite uncomfortable. A wire hook secured the door from the outside. The smell hit her like a punch when she eventually succeeded in opening it. Mold, urine, and hopelessness. The room was ruined. Once adorned with vibrant paintings of princesses that Marcus had lovingly painted, the walls were now filthy and discolored. Emma's cot from years ago was back, but it only had a piece of cardboard at the bottom and no mattress. He discovered a heartbreaking survival kit in the corner, together with drawings, a plastic water bottle that Emma obviously filled in the lavatory whenever she could, and a shoebox where she concealed stale food fragments. Dozens of illustrations. Victoria's hands were shaking as she lifted one up. There was a large golden sun at the top, written in childlike script with crooked letters, and she and Emma were holding hands. "Come return soon, Mummy. I have strength. I'm capable of managing it." Diana, a dark long-haired woman with a large sharp-toothed mouth, was depicted in another drawing. Words Emma had just learnt were next to it. Bad woman. I'm afraid. Victoria took careful pictures of everything, all the evidence, all the proof of the anguish her daughter had endured. Something stopped her in her tracks at the back of the closet. Tiny covert cameras. Diana had been photographing Emma while she documented the child's anguish. His phone rang. Daniel was the one. Hayes, Ms., we completed the first scan. You must watch this right away. Diana believed she had shut the security system, but had just diverted to cloud servers she was unaware of. 20 minutes later, Victoria was in the office watching the recordings that had been collected from the system. The pictures were heartbreaking. Emma is being yelled at by Diana, who calls her a worthless parasite. Emma pleaded and wept as Diana made the kids swallow medicine. Diana punished Emma for crying by confining her to a dark room for hours. The footage of Diana conversing with someone in Spanish over the phone was the worst of all. This one is nearly finished. Yes, she will not have any resistance after 2 more months of conditioning. The easiest widows are wealthy ones. They are so preoccupied with their own sorrow that they fail to see anything. The recording was halted by Victoria. His thinking had never been so clear, but his blood was frigid. Diana was more than simply a lousy babysitter. She was a predator by trade. Furthermore, Emma wasn't her first casualty. Being gullible or sentimental was not how Victoria Hayes had established a $2 billion business. She had begun with nothing. The immigrant daughter, who worked 3 jobs while attending MIT to study engineering, was the first person in her family to attend college. She didn't cry when investors made fun of her for being too young and inexperienced to run a digital company. It is undeniable that she destroyed them. She had corporate killer mode, Marcus used to joke. His eyes became as steely as steel, and Victoria's smile vanished during the negotiation. Everyone in the room realized then that the cordial discussion was finished. Diana was now going to encounter that aspect of Victoria Hayes. Diana had also made a far worse error than the inept executives who had attempted to cross his path. Emma had been touched by her. We're already on it, Ms. Hayes. Daniel, Victoria replied, I want a complete dossier on Diana Montenegro. Every previous job, every address, every bank account, and I want it in 12 hours. He hesitated. We discovered something. Her name is not Diana. That's Veronica Salazar, and you'll want to kill her yourself because of her past. Victoria smiled, but there was no warmth in that smile. It was the smile of a predator who had finally found her prey. I'm not going to kill her, Daniel. I'm going to do something much worse. I'm going to make sure that she can never destroy another family again. And when I'm done with her, Diana Montenegro, or her, whoever she really is, will beg for the mercy of a simple death. What Diana didn't know, what she could never have imagined in her narcissistic schemes, was that Victoria Hayes wasn't just a vulnerable billionaire widow. She was a woman who had built an empire by destroying people who underestimated her intelligence and determination, people far more powerful and prepared than Diana. And now every resource of that empire, every contact, every ounce of power and influence Victoria possessed would be directed toward a single goal: making Diana pay for every tear, every nightmare, every moment of terror Emma had lived through. The revenge would be methodical. It would be devastating. It would be completely legal, but absolutely destructive. Because Victoria had learned long ago that the best revenge is not illegal or violent. It is turning his enemies into public examples of what happens when you attack the wrong person. It is making sure the whole world knows exactly what kind of monsters he really is. It is making every consequence seem like his choice, not her. And as Diana slept drunk in Victoria's bed, wearing her stolen clothes, posting lies on social media, she had no idea that the next 48 hours would transform her from a confident predator into desperate prey. Victoria looked out the office window at the lights of Beverly Hills flashing in the darkness. Outside, Diana was probably still dreaming of her next victim, his next con. But inside, Victoria Hayes was building the perfect trap. And that trap was about to snap shut with a force that would shock not only Diana, but the entire country. Victoria spent the night turning pain into surgical strategy. By 6 a.m., her war room was assembled. 3 private investigators, his personal attorney, Marcus Chen, and CNN investigative journalist, Jennifer Brooks. We found 5 families who were victims of Diana over the past 8 years, announced the lead investigator. Always the same pattern. Wealthy widows, traumatized children, systematic theft. Jennifer adjusted her camera. Victoria, with her permission, we want to do this live. Expose not only Diana, but the entire network. Victoria nodded. I want the whole world to see. Meanwhile, Diana woke up in Victoria's bed, stretching as if she owned the place. She sent a message. Good morning, Miss Hayes. Can we talk about that raise today? After all, taking care of the problematic Emma requires extra dedication. By the way, she ran away again yesterday. These kids are so dramatic. Victoria read it with a cold smile. Diana really believed she had one. Gentlemen, Victoria said to the team, Diana will be here today at 3 p.m. to negotiate his raise. At that time, we will have hidden cameras, police in position, and all of his previous victims present virtually. Marcus Chen smiled. She'll walk in thinking she's in control and walk out handcuffed live on national TV. But Daniel, the head of security, brought up something that changed everything. Victoria, Diana doesn't work alone. We've discovered a network of 12 women operating simultaneously in different cities. And the worst part, he paused. They document everything in closed groups, selling videos of the children's suffering. Victoria felt physically nauseous. Emma wasn't just a victim. She was merchandise. We found the server, Daniel continued. It has videos of Emma crying, starving, begging. Diana sold each video for $500. Victoria's anger crystallized into absolute determination. She would not only destroy Diana, she would annihilate the entire network. At 2 p.m., Victoria received the most arrogant message from Diana. I'm here. I'm in her bed wearing his perfume. I've thought it over. I want $15,000 a month, or I'll tell the press how you neglect Emma. I have compromising photos of her. You decide. What Diana didn't know was that every word, every threat was being recorded and would be broadcast live in exactly 47 minutes. Victoria slowly descended the stairs, finding Diana posing for selfies in the living room, wearing Emma's jewelry. Diana, Victoria said with deadly calm, we need to talk about his future, or rather, about his complete lack of one. Oh, Mrs. Hayes, you finally get how things work, Diana said with a confident laugh. Fantastic. Then let's talk about my new terms. Just before the assault, Victoria's smile was actually that of a shark. Diana, yes. Let's talk about that specifically. The CNN cameras will undoubtedly want to capture every moment of this negotiation. Diana paused her smile. Cameras? Which cameras? When the lights came on, 5 women appeared on the room's large screen, along with police officers and TV teams. Before Emma, Diana had tortured the mothers of the children. Diana went completely white. Additionally, the most destructive trap Beverly Hills had ever seen was set to go live on television, eliminating not just a single criminal, but a whole network of predators who thought they were beyond the law. Cameras, she said again, her voice faltering for the first time. What cameras? The improvised studio's lights exploded. Beside Victoria, holding a microphone, was Jennifer Brooks, an investigative anchor for CNN. America, good afternoon. Our live broadcast from Beverly Hills has a heartbreaking exclusive on a criminal network that preys for families in danger. Diana stepped back 3 paces, her eyes wide. There is a miscommunication here. Tell him this is absurd, Victoria. Victoria gave a chilly smile. Diana, or should I use his true name, Veronica Salazar. On one point, you're correct. This is absurd. The insanity he exhibited by recording his own offenses. Victoria gestured to turn on the enormous screen. Videos started to play. Emma was locked in a dark room as Diana yelled at her and shoved pills into her mouth. The sound was really clear. He must learn his place, this parasite. The video echoed Diana's voice. Rich children are so easily broken and so frail. Diana's face went white. This has been changed. It's a montage. The first mother to come on the virtual screen was someone I never saw. Seattle native Catherine Morrison. You told my Sophie exactly the same things. Children who are pampered must learn to endure. Recall that another woman showed up. I have a 4-year-old son. Diana for cold air fortifies character, therefore you left him with pneumonia. When Diana hurried to leave, 2 policemen stopped her. Detective Martinez displayed his badge. Diana shouted, "Veronica Salazar, you're under arrest for kidnapping, child abuse, conspiracy, fraud, and 12 other charges. This is persecution." Her kindly exterior utterly destroyed. Victoria is a negligent mother who used her job to run away from her daughter. I saved Emma from her. Victoria remained calm. Jennifer, can you show her bank accounts? The screen changed to financial statements. $2.3 million in 6 years, Jennifer narrated. Stolen from 5 different families, and there's more. Images from Diana's social media appeared. She on yachts in expensive restaurants, luxury hotels, all paid for with stolen money, all while children starved under her care. And worst of all, Victoria continued, her voice breaking slightly. She filmed the children suffering and sold the videos. My Emma, at 5 years old, was merchandise to her. Diana attempted one last manipulation, fake tears streaming down her face. I was sick. I need psychological help, not prison. Psychological. The 5th mother interrupted. Amy Chen from San Francisco. You were perfectly sane when you planned to steal $400,000 from my home. When you sent my son to the hospital with severe malnutrition. That's not illness. That's pure evil. Detective Martinez pulled out the handcuffs. Veronica Salazar, you have the right to remain silent. Diana struggled violently. No, you don't understand. These rich women deserve to suffer. They live in mansions while people like people like you. Victoria interrupted her. Her voice I see. Diana, I've uncovered your entire history. You came from a wealthy family in Miami. Your father is a lawyer, her mother a doctor. You had every opportunity. You chose to torture children for pleasure, not necessity. The revelation shocked even Diana, who was speechless for precious seconds. And you know what else I found out? Victoria continued relentlessly. Her network of 12 women, all her women have been notified. Right now, they're being arrested in 7 different states. It's a coordinated FBI operation. Diana collapsed, knees on the floor. For the first time, she showed real emotion, pure terror. No, it can't be. One spent years building this. 8 years, Victoria corrected. The detective interrupted her as they led Diana away in handcuffs, saying, "You'll pay for this. I have contacts. Expensive lawyers. You'll remain silent." The detective said, "Every word of yours is being recorded and used against him." Jennifer turned to the camera. Operation Domestic Predator broke up a network that had harmed over 40 families over 8 years. The investigations are still ongoing. After Diana was taken away, Victoria sat down, exhausted, but victorious. His cell phone vibrated, and it was the hospital. Emma had woken up and asked for her mother. "I'm going to my daughter now," Victoria said to the camera. And to other mothers watching, trust your instincts. If something doesn't seem right, it most often is. Victoria was driving to the hospital when she got a call from an unidentified number. On the speakerphone, she responded, "Hayes, Mrs." It was a shaky female voice. "Rebecca is my name. Diana and I worked together. What you've discovered is nothing compared to what I know about, something including judges, government representatives, and ring guards." Victoria was cold. Diana's collapse was only the start. "Where is he, Rebecca?" "Concealed. The children deserve full justice, I'm afraid. Is it possible for us to meet tomorrow?" Victoria gazed out the car window at the distant flashing lights of Los Angeles. Although Diana was imprisoned, the plot was reportedly far more extensive. "Sure, let's get together. I also want to congratulate Rebecca for having the guts." Victoria knew the fight for Emma was won as she hung up. However, The fight against the system that had given predators like Diana years of unrestricted freedom was only getting started. And she wasn't battling alone this time. Diana's fall had been seen by the whole nation. In the next phase, her biggest weapon would be public fury. Because an arrest isn't always the end of justice. One is the first. After 6 months, Emma grinned while assisting Victoria in launching the Emma Hayes Child Protection Foundation. Under a barrage of camera flashes, the girl, who was now a healthy weight and had a twinkle in her eyes, cut the ribbon with her mother. When all the charges were tallied, Diana, also known as Veronica, was serving 45 years in prison. Additionally, her 12 accomplices were found guilty. After years of operation, the criminal network was totally destroyed. 3 judges and 2 prosecutors who shielded the plan were exposed thanks to Rebecca, the former accomplice, who revealed the wrongdoing. Each of them lost their job. Victoria found meaning in her suffering. The non-profit developed an app that matched verified carers with disadvantaged families, and had already saved 200 children in similar circumstances. Emma said "Mum" at the ceremony. Victoria knelt next to her daughter and asked, "Is Diana sorry?" "Most likely, my love. However, remorse without repercussions is unfair. Families were shattered by her. She will now have to pay for it for the rest of her life." Emma gave her mother a hug and nodded. Victoria got an email from prison that evening. Diana sent it. "My life was ruined by you." He was merely carrying out his duties as a nanny. Without responding, Victoria removed it. There are those who never take accountability. Locking Diana up wasn't the finest form of retaliation. It was making sure that no child would ever experience what Emma had. It was transforming trauma into defense. If you are moved by this tale of justice and change, please subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes the best form of retaliation isn't eliminating his adversary, but rather utilizing the misery to create something that keeps others from going through what he did. Diana, as well,